Fire escape engineers, inspector summary video. We're here in Main Street, Millburn, New Jersey. Fire escape has been asked to do a re-inspection. We're here doing the re-inspection, and we're going to talk about what was done right, what else still needs to be done, and what the requirements are by the city official. The requirement is very simple. They want a load test, or they want a refurbishment so that you don't have to do a load test. So if something is old and it stayed behind, the only way I can guarantee it and sign off on it is by load testing it for a fee, or if they change the bolt out, it nullifies the need for a load test. So let's start first on this whole fire escape with down here. This was all rebuilt, redone. As you can see here, looks like a brand new grating, brand new railing. We asked, looks like a new unit came in here since, and this is just so that you don't fall into the unit, so they did that here. What you need to do is into the ground, you need to cement this back into the ground, and then once you've cemented it back into the ground, you also need to tar this up as much as you can. The tar is not required by law, but tar 4 to 6 inches off the ground so that the snow doesn't eat this that is now buried into the ground. So, but cement it into the ground. Also on these welds are fresh and today, but seal this up with silicone. By sealing this up, you're going to stop this from rotting out, and in 5 years' time, I don't have to fail this tread because rot has started in there, but as soon as you seal it with silicone, there's no need. So seal all the treads. Let's see if there's any other areas that could be a problem. This looks okay. Nobody can fall through. This was done and bent, not a big issue. This thing, as it rubs up against, I have an issue, but when I pull this down, I see a new cable up there on the weight box, and I can pull this down, but you should put a release arm or a release chain up above so that nobody pulls this down and breaks into the building. Or, because you can't climb up here, but these things are supposed to be released, and they're supposed to drop 2 to 3 feet per second by themselves when released and hit the ground. So you might have to open up that box, take out a little bit of weight so that the ladder is heavier than that box. I see it's a new cable. The pulleys up there looks like they've been greased, and you got to make sure that they're greased so that they move correctly. Now, that connection into the wall up there needs to be verified because it's probably part of the parapet wall up there. Because in case that releases, that's one of the reasons why we put a release arm on this. If that was to release prematurely for any reason, the ladder being on a release arm or a chain, this doesn't guillotine down and hurt anybody. So that wall connection up there needs to be verified and changed out. I believe it might be these two bolts. I need to speak with the inspector, with the vendor, as to whether or not these came from up above of the weight box. Otherwise, the weight box needs to be verified. Number 2, it's been fully painted, so the painting is no longer a requirement. And let's look at the connection right there. You got a new bolt there, and it looks like it got sealed. You got some new bolts there, but then on the ladder system, it's got old square head bolts. These need to be swapped out. At the top of the ladder system, old original hardware got to be swapped out. So both sides of the ladder system, even though those bolts look good, the only way I can sign off on them is with a load test. But as soon as you swap them out, I don't have to load test it. It's been refurbished, so the load test is nullified as soon as you switch out 50 to 75-year-old bolts. Now, let's take a look at going back into the building. In our original video, it said that you have to either give me photographic evidence from the outside, drill a hole and verify that the connection is good, or from the inside, give me photographic evidence that the plate and that bolt is in good condition. And here's a great example, because here's a bolt typical of a through bolt. But as you can see, this through bolt has evidence of wear and water got into it. So this is what we're trying to verify in that through bolt going back into the building. You can either do a through bolt, or, verification of the through bolt with photographic evidence, or put an epoxy bolt. So about 5 inches away from there, put a 3/4 by 8 to 12 inches deep into this wall, and then mechanically fasten it back with a clip back to the support, and you're good. You don't have to load test this. Otherwise, even after this whole fire escape gets redone, and it gets all the bolts are changed that I've been talking about, because there's been some bolt change, but not all of it. I still have to load test this platform, but as soon as you put an epoxy bolt over there and on the other side, I don't need to load test this anymore. Otherwise, even if I pass the whole rest of the fire escape and all the bolts have been changed, I still need to load test this platform simply because of the unknown, and that is that one and that other one over there. All right, let's look on that corner over there. It looks like some bolt changes were made on that corner on there, but there's still some square heads left. On the bottom, I have to verify, I can't see it from this side, but going up, you can see square head bolts and some new bolts. All hardware, all original hardware must be swapped out, okay? Let's take a look now from further down. You see the rail, this railing post, square head bolts, those need to be swapped out. See the top corner, square head bolt needs to be swapped out. See the other corner, square head bolt. Original hardware can't stay. If you want it to stay, then I need to charge a fee to do a load test, both on the grating and on the rail. But as soon as you swap out those bolts, there's no need for a load test. Let me see on this side. Looks like they changed the bottom one. Looks like they reinforced the top one. I believe, hard to see. Just double check. Yep, looks like they changed some bolts on this corner. But right in front of it, the flat that goes across has not been changed. As a matter of fact, that flat at the bottom is not a major concern of mine, because it looks like it's just a kicker plate. It's not part of the structure. It's a minor structural, so that flat going across can actually stay with the square heads, but the corner tops rails need to be swapped out. Okay, and it does look like they swapped out the bolts at the very top. I'll confirm that with the vendor, and that's probably what those bolts down here at the bottom are. And you see what else? And the tie backs on the rails, you'll see original hardware tying back the rail on the top corner. So that's got to be switched. So again, this fire escape is probably, I'd say 85–90% done. And just some minor things already noted in this video need to be done, and this thing will be able to pass it. But the most important part of it is now either give me 2 Hilti bolts here, or I have to give a fee to load test just this platform. Because after you change all the bolts on the rest of it, the main concern is just this platform. And once we put two Hilti chemical bolts down here, tying them back to the support, have your vendor call me and I'll explain what that is. There's no need for a load test. And then in discussions with the city, the average cycle of load testing on these is every 25 years after a complete refurbishment. And doing all those things I just suggested is basically a total refurb on this Fire Escape plus a paint job. Any questions? Fire Escape Engineers, Inspector Summary Video. This is Inspector Meneses, 800-649-3333, 800-649-3333.